Tracking storm impacts from our latest winter storm, I'm ABC 10 Chief Meteorologist Monica Woods. We're tracking flooding, avalanche risk, as well as road closures and mudslides throughout the state of California. You can see the extent of this weather system all the way from the Pacific Northwest down to Southern California. Here's some of what we've been dealing with for today. You can see localized flooding in parts of the capital region around the Sacramento area. Just some of those creeks and streams not able to hold the volume of water coming in at this point. Higher up in the Sierra, we saw periods of road closures as well as very difficult travel, near whiteout conditions. And yes, those conditions will continue at least through tonight and part of our Friday. We continue to track these weather conditions with our extended forecasts on ABC 10 Plus. You want to make sure you download that wherever you stream on TV. We've also got explainers and weather and climate specials there. A whole weather playlist for you, ABC 10 Plus. Here's a look at our live view across the region. Donner Lake and Myers, near whiteout conditions continuing there at the pass along I-80. Chain controls in effect. They're also stopping traffic at Applegate with trucks not allowed to pass periodically through the higher elevations. Now lower into the valley, we see the slick conditions with on and off rain showers continuing. Now we've seen the bulk of the rain move through. A lot of that moving through the Sierra foothills at this point, but there's still more moisture to come. So all of that is going to continue to move through the Sierra, but we still have a couple bands of rain here through the overnight hours for the valley, adding to additional pressure, especially on all of those smaller tributaries and watersheds. In Southern California, flash flood watch continues, especially around the burn scars with heavy rain and debris flows possible. They've been doing some mitigation tactics, especially along the coast near Palisades, just kind of putting in those barriers because basically there's no vegetation to hold that water, so the terrain very vulnerable to slides, and they're trying to prevent that from creating further damage. We've seen that periodically throughout Northern California as well. What we're dealing with here, though, is more of the localized issues. Minor flooding in low-lying areas and flood-prone areas as well. Ponding on water on roadways has created for some slick conditions, multiple spinouts throughout the valley. So flood advisory in effect until at least midnight. Now, in the background, we've got our flood watch going on until 10 p.m. Friday with runoff still contributing to some rivers getting closer to that flood stage, as well as creeks and streams having difficulty holding that water. Here's a look at some of the areas that we're watching for the flood warning in effect through Sunday. Use caution by the river. We've got those weirs that are flowing due to trying to take the pressure off of the water, especially as it flows down towards the metropolitan area of Sacramento, where we see the convergence of the American and the Sacramento rivers. You can see a couple of those spots there indicated in the orange along the Sacramento River above monitor stage. One place that we're watching is the yellow bypass. So if you take I-80 in or out of Sacramento from the Bay Area, you're going to see that water is running right through underneath the freeway there. That is designed to kind of take the pressure off of a larger populated area in downtown Sacramento. Now, those waters will continue to stay right about flood stage until we get to the end of the weekend because we're going to see some drying out time, and that will allow the water to kind of flush through the system. Precipitation since midnight, we've had 1.5 inches for Fairfield, almost 2 inches across the coast, over 1 inch for many valley locations, and over 2.5 inches in Placerville, where it is still raining. Over 2 inches of rain for Sonora. As far as snowfall, it's still coming down, so preliminary amounts about 1 to 2 feet of snow in the Sierra. More to come on that. Model rainfall, just about 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch left as we head into our early Friday. Still about 1/2 inch to 1 inch, though, for the foothills, because you can see the focus of where we'll see the moderate rain will indeed be the Sierra foothills with more snow for the Sierra. Just some lighter showers expected for the valley as kind of the back edge of this system rolls through. That leads us to a dry morning commute. I can't say that it's going to be dry on the roadways, but at least there's not a lot of precipitation that will be falling. We'll see continued rain, though, falling in the foothills and more widespread activity in the Sierra. That will continue through noon as well until we get to a better situation for the high country by 7 p.m. As far as additional snowfall coming in, about 1 to 10 inches possible for most places, but we could see up to about 2 feet for some of the higher elevations by the time we get to our Friday afternoon and early evening. So there's a lot more to come here for this year, and that's why this winter storm warning remains in effect until 10 p.m. Friday with gusty winds and chain controls as well as road closures possible. If you can delay your traffic, it's definitely best to do that. Travel, I should say, is best to do that into our late Friday evening, early Saturday. Avalanche warning also in effect for the Tahoe Basin all along the Sierra Spine south of Highway 50 for the backcountry. Widespread avalanche activity possible. It's because of the snowfall rates combined with the wind, making for some of those slopes very vulnerable to slides that are capable of burying or injuring people. Speaking of the winds, our wind advisory in effect for the valley and towards the coast at least until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning for our Friday. The strongest gusts have actually already passed through, but occasional gusts up to about 30 to 35 miles per hour certainly possible for the valley. We're still anticipating some gusts up to about 40 to even 50 miles per hour for the Sierra until we get to early tomorrow morning. Then some of those winds back off. Certainly for the valley, we'll see some lighter winds, but we saw wind gusts today at 40 to 50 miles per hour, 60+ mile per hour gusts across the coast and into the Sierra. So it has been a very difficult day for travel in the high country with blowing and drifting snow. We're going to see a much better Valentine's Day forecast with valley showers coming to an end, but those Sierra snow impacts will remain through our Friday. Saturday is partly sunny. Now we get into some morning showers for our Sunday for the 3-day weekend, but President's Day, a dry day for the valley with a few light flurries for this year. You certainly see the future moisture really thin in terms of the bulk of the precipitation coming in over the course of the 3-day weekend. This weather system that is hitting us on Sunday will be a bigger impact player through the Pacific Northwest. We're just kind of brushed with the tail end of it. On Friday, we see some lingering impacts for the foothills and widespread snow continuing for this year until we get to the early evening. Then things start to quiet down a bit. Here's a look at that Sunday system. It's a very quick player for us into the 3-day weekend. Not a ton of rain or snow accumulation. It's just one of those things. Got to be aware. It's not going to be 100% sunshine and warm weather yet. That is in our forecast, though. As you can see, likely warmer conditions playing into our outlook here by the time we get to the middle and end of February, and also likely drier. So we see a much different pattern developing by the time we get to the end of the month. Highs for tomorrow in the 30s for the Sierra. Cold and snowy, difficult travel there. 40s and 50s down the hill. It's not a super cold storm. It's a pretty typical storm that leaves us with highs in the 50s to near 60 across the coast for our Valentine's Day forecast. If you're heading to the city by the bay, 56 degrees with drier conditions for the afternoon and evening. Nice for a dinner out. In the valley, we'll start the day off with mostly cloudy skies. Temperatures in the 40s. Highs will warm to near 60 up and down the valley with 50s for the upper valley locations, including El Dorado Hills at 54 degrees. As far as our mountain forecast, you can see we got those lingering snow conditions on Friday, dry Saturday, a mix of rain and snow Sunday and Monday as some of that warmer air starts to press our way. Warmer air mass starting to develop here. For the foothills, we'll see lingering showers for our Friday. Dry mostly for the weekend. A quick passing shower possible on Sunday. But overall, our 3-day weekend will be a much quieter one than what we've been seeing for the end of this work and school week, with just a few showers left over very early Friday for the valley. Drier on Saturday. Quick moving shower moving through on Sunday. Then we're right back to the dry weather on Monday for President's Day, and that sets us up for a stretch of dry weather and much warmer as well. By the following weekend, we're looking at highs near 70.